Welcome to the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper Podcast. This is a very special edition. It's our 1 year anniversary special.
Oh, yeah.
And we got Evan nice and liquored up for this one.
I'm fine.
How many have you had of them?
It's
sweet,
fine.
sweet glasses of wine.
It's tasty, tasty wine. Don't worry about it.
Well, we're here. We're in good cheer. And we're ready to rock and roll. I had myself a drink too. Evan's had a bottle of wine. And we're ready to go.
Let's a drink. You had a Red's apple cider.
Yeah, I had one drink. That's
one
what
drink.
I said. Yeah.
Yep.
Just one.
Just.
It was all
fine.
we had.
I'll party for both of us.
You know,
it's
it was either
fine.
that or that hard root beer. And because I ran out of my beer, and then we tried that hard root beer. Rachel
Do you like it?
No.
I don't really like it.
It
doesn't
was
really taste like
fine
root
at
beer
first.
or alcohol.
Yeah, for like the first two sips was really good, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice." And then like the third sip, I was like, "This is awful."
Yeah, it gets a bad taste.
Yeah, it's like I'd rather just drink a beer at this point. But you know what? I drank what we had. We were in a celebratory mood, and we had some drinks, and we were going to record our podcast, and here we are, everyone. And I want to say thanks to all of you out there in podcast land for supporting us and listening to us and following us and being with us for this long. So as a thank you, I'm not even gonna promote our normal stuff. You know it by now.
Fair.
I will say this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
For those of you that listen, this is going to be a listener-only contest. For our 1 year anniversary, we're going to give away 2 Fifth Trooper mats.
Oh.
And this is how you win.
I always find about these like right now.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm making it up right now.
All right, okay.
All right. That's not true. I knew about this all day. So this is what we're going to do. I post this. This gets posted on our Facebook page. So once it's posted, go to our Facebook page, like the post, share it if you can, and comment on it. If you can't share it, that's fine. But at least like it and write a comment, and you'll be entered to win. It's that easy. I'll pick someone from the comments. And Bob's your uncle, and I'll send you a mat, and I'll private message you, and we'll give one away of each. So a mud mat and a salt planet mat, and we'll do it next week. So you got a week. You got till the next podcast. I'll announce it on the podcast. Listener only. I'm not gonna promote this anywhere else. So you have to listen to the podcast to get this. So this is a thank you to you out there for listening to us and just enjoying the podcast.
No, definitely. I love it every time someone comes to me when I'm at an event and says, "Hey, thanks for just talking about it." That's great, man. It's always great to go. When I went to Nova this past week, just to see people who actually listen. Because I always in my mind, I think we just kind of do this for you and me, right? We're just kind of doing it just for fun, right? And then when people actually come up and say they listen, it's always like I'm always a little shocked. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, yeah.
I just assume people are lying.
Yeah, they see the name, like, oh yeah, Fifth Trooper, yeah,
I
yeah.
absolutely listen to you guys, and you're like, get out of here, nerd. Little dead air there, no problem.
Oh, that's. I didn't know if you were going anywhere. All right.
No, I was just adjusting your mic a little bit for you.
Fair.
So we got a great episode.
Oh yeah. So it turns out So when I was at Nova, people are coming up to me and saying, "Hey, did you hear about the points update?" And I'm like, I hadn't, right? I've been so focused on not, and my data was getting nuts anyway. So I'm like, no, I'm like, hey, there was this rumor that there might be a points update Tuesday. And I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of I was like, yeah, it'd be cool, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then Bob's your uncle.
It happened.
It happened.
Surprise!
Pie
well, I think that one
in my
dude
face.
from FFG let it slip on the one live show, and they weren't really ready for that.
Whoops.
But yeah. So we're going to talk about that today. We are going to talk about, I don't know. We're going to reminisce, Evan. Maybe we'll talk about your first episode of The Fifth Trooper. I think that would be fun. Do you remember it?
Kinda.
Okay. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how you and I met.
Sure.
That'll be fun. We also have some really, really amazing other segments for you.
Oh, yeah, those are really worth staying for.
Yeah, and I'll be cutting to those. We're going to intermix those, so I'm not really on a schedule as far as, like, news and then this and then this. I'm just
it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, and I'm just basically, like, while we're talking, I'll be like, all right, we're going to go to this now, so that's what's going to happen.
But seriously, thanks if you've been listening this whole time, that's awesome. If you just picked it up last week, That's also awesome.
You better catch up soon, nerd.
You got a lot to listen through, huh?
Yeah.
But thanks for just hanging out with us. Like every time we do this, again, like it's always impressive to me when people say they listen, because to me, it's more of just like a book club that we kind of record. Jay and I just complaining about Legion or talking about what's good. So it's always cool that people like come up and just see your public and say, "Hey, man, thanks for thanks for doing it."
Yeah. And so, ready or not, let's get going.
Dangerous? No.
So what happened today, Evan?
Well, actually, what happened was a live stream, which was Alex and Luke playing a game of Legion, a 600-point small game. I think they took just an objective off the operations, just like a hold the middle point kind of deal. But the big news was they got to show off some of the operative cards.
Yep.
And the other big news was the points update.
What points update?
So it's going to be done a little weird. So current product even the printed product that gets printed now will still have the current point costs.
So, right, they said the cards will never reflect.
Yeah, it will never reflect. But for competitive play,
yeah,
in the back of the FAQ /rules appendium, there'll be updates on that, which can get a little messy, I think.
Agreed.
Especially if you're a new guy who're like, hey, I'll go to PAX. Oh, hey, there's a Legion tournament. I'll go in, and then there's people playing with different point values, possibly because they just don't. Not everybody keeps up with this as much as we do.
Yeah.
Right. So if they just show up and they build an army, and you're like, well,
right. So yeah, for the new guy who he goes, hey, you know what?
Maybe I will go to this.
Maybe
tournament.
I'll build this army. Maybe he doesn't use one of the online builders. Maybe he's never used one before.
Just doing
and he's like, I'm just gonna put this together.
Yep, just doing it by hand and paper.
And then he uses some of these units that have point changes, whether they went up or down or whatever. Yeah, he's gonna be off.
So I'm hopeful that this will eventually lead into an app for us. So it'll just be easier to say, hey, just load it in the app. But
I'm pretty sure
that complaining aside, it's good for the game.
Like, I'm pretty sure they said. I saw it online somewhere. Maybe it was Matt Holland who said that it just wasn't in the cards for an app because it's too expensive.
I think they'll do one. Because you gotta go through the whole bidding process, and you get the bid, and then you gotta go. People who are making the app generally don't play the game. That's why I'm the X-Wing one. That's why a lot of even clone a ship. Like I run it. I used to run this past week. Evan O2 drop Bolrus at Nova. I run 8 droid bombers. So when I fill out the sheet, I put in 1 droid and I times 8 because I'm not filling it out by hand. But even on the app, I have to do it. It's a pain, right? Like third party stuff just always is better because they have no restrictions, no overhead, right? They just do what they want. That said, I would like to see it for Legion. Just even though if they can't, it's a future thing. Like Tabletop Admiral is the one we use currently, I think mostly.
Yeah.
I think that's the one our go-to, yeah. Mm-hmm. I know there's a couple, Battle Scribe has a good one.
Yeah, and this isn't I'm not saying one way or the other of whether I like one or I like the other. It's just...
No, sure, it's just what I know off the top of my head, yeah. But, so, I'm a little bummed about that, but if you just, when you make an event, if you say, hey, build your army in this thing, because Tabletop Admiral will have updates, that'd probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah,
or if you got a new player, be like, hey, use Tabletop Admiral. That's or Battle Scribe or whatever you use, right? Just to everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
But minor stuff aside, look, if someone comes to your tournament and they don't have a correctly built thing and they're new, just let them play with what they have, right?
Agreed.
Just that's something we did with X-Wing. A guy came in a while ago and he hadn't played for a year and he was playing. This is 1.0 and he had old rules, Biggs is forever, and I'm like, just let him do it, man. There's no point in saying sorry.
Yeah,
run this wall,
or at least help him get to the right place.
Yeah, right. I just instead of having to correct all of his his over points and everything, just if he's honest, just let it.
Yeah. Just talk to him and help him out. All right, so let's hop through this. So I think the best way to do it, Evan, is
by faction.
Well, I was going to say we could just go through the list and then talk about why we think that's a positive or a negative, or what we think about it.
Sure.
I mean, I think they're all positives, but we could walk it through. So one of the big ones, I think, for us, especially because, I mean, in the last year, since I started this podcast, the T-47 has always been the thing.
Point of contention.
There's no way this is... Why would they put this in the game? It can't be that bad. And I've tried double airspeeder lists. I've tried single airspeeder lists. I've tried everything, and it could just never get it to work. Well... They dropped the points by 35 points. They dropped the harpoon by 5 points,
Yeah,
which who cares? And
Still a joke card.
right, and then they dropped the buzzer by. They should have just made the harpoon free. That's the only way that would have been worth it. And then they dropped the buzzer by 10 points. So for 150 points.
It's pretty good. The 150, 160 because you take the outer rim jockey.
The speeder jockey. So you'll have the T47, the buzzer, and then the outer rim speeder
Perfect.
jockey.
That's still good because that's
points.
The land speeder built out. It's like 175. I want to say 170ish. So
that's perfect.
Yeah, I think I would take that.
So
right,
320 for 2 of them.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No.
So this is right. So this fills 2 roles. One, it's a cool ship, needs to be on the table. Right, it's a cool unit. The land air speeder. Sorry. I keep forgetting they're both repulsor speeder things. The air speeder is iconic, right? It's a big Star Wars thing. Empire Strikes Back. Everyone knows Hoth, right? So to have that ship on the table is important, right? Same thing with the ATSD. We'll get to that later, but that also got a points decrease. It's important to have it on the table because it draws people over to it. We did this a while ago where we talked about that, right? Like you want the iconic stuff out, and for 140 points, you could put that even just with an outer rim jockey for 150.
Right,
that's okay.
Yeah, and like Luke said on the stream, what had happened was good units, good pieces were getting pushed out of the meta, not because they were bad, but just because they weren't efficient points-wise. And I think this changes the scope of things a little bit, and I'm really looking forward to running this. I think it might be your answer to Tauntauns.
Oh, thank God for the Outriders, but he's like, number one list, anti-Tauntaun meta, airspeeder, and I'm like, oh, that's goofy. Now that I have the point drop, I'm like, okay, 140 point unit that can stop 200 to 300 points of their units. All right, I'm in.
Okay, so the vets saw a decrease in their gun there, the CM093 or whatever for the vets. I guess I've never played with them, and I haven't really put a lot of thought into the vets, so I never saw that as a problem, but okay.
Yeah, honestly, that's fine. I haven't. So I think all the extra guns should probably be in the 20 to 30 point range. Anything above 30 breaks into that. Why don't I just take a whole other group of units?
Yeah. Okay.
We'll get, again, there's more later that kind of do that, but that's fine. The problem is, like, through the tournament season, it's finally starting to end for me. Now I got to wait till the last chance, more or less, for my next shot, but it's good. Like, everything needs to be kind of like those expensive guns down a little bit. I haven't got a chance to play with the veterans myself just because I couldn't afford them. Like, I'm waiting for Clone Wars, so I want to be able to play what I talk about, because if I'm not playing it, I'm talking about it, makes me feel kind of disingenuous, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, from what I heard, from what they said on the stream and what other people have told me, this puts them in an efficiency state with their cost to
I don't think either of us have really gotten to use them, so I guess that sounds good. Like, right, like, it looks good. Points decrease is always good.
So the MPL 57, that's the Ion Trooper for the Rebels.
This was very much needed.
The Rebel Trooper, so that's down 8 points from 32 to 24.
That's perfect.
You still got to exhaust it, so I don't know if it's worth it, but yeah, maybe.
I think for 24 points, so it's 2 red, so you can get rid of cover, and then anything you shoot with Rebels spills over, and the black die. But it's that Ion. And Ion doesn't matter today, but when the droids come out, it will matter.
Well, and I think it becomes more attractive from a Z6s. I mean, your Z6s are good, but most Z6 are just monsters.
Probability cannons,
and you never know what's going to happen. Like, it could go good, it could go bad, but most times it's going to go bad. So I think having the MPL 57 as a little bit less kind of helps out there. I don't know if you take it. I don't know. We'd have to look into it.
I think it's at least worth experimenting with.
Yeah.
For that point. Like, 26 is just a little bit more than the Z6, like 4 points. It's not 31 or whatever it was. Like, that was just too
32,
high.
Yeah.
32, yeah, it was nuts.
So, okay, so then the next point decrease was the ATRT, all its extra weapons. So the
20.
flame, the rotary, and the laser are all 20.
That's cool.
I think that's a great move.
What's interesting about that is they said, they're not, we had them listed at varying levels of power, but that's not quite correct. It's they're like tools, right? And each one has its pluses and cons. So if we put them all at 20, we can adjust the tool. Like, right, you bring the tool for the job, not like you bring the flamer because it's cheapest and you just want an ATRT.
Well, and my guess is that back then they were playing, when they first came up with the point system for this, they had the ATST and the T47, and this was kind of a ground answer to armor. Yeah. And that's why the laser was 35 points, I would guess. But this is perfect. I think they did a great job here. This really evens everything out. And
Yeah, it's fine, right? Like it's just.
Yep.
I look at it and like so at ATRT is like 55 points base. So to have
75?
yeah, it's not bad because I was actually messing around with those today and I was okay at taking them at like 90. I'm like, well, I'll give them a shot. But for 75, you could take 3 and still be way under cost.
I think specifically for the Rebels, this increases your ability to create dynamic and action economy lists now. Even you had it before, but now even more. So now you're going to be like, I think you have an opportunity here to see 12, 13 activation Rebel lists.
Oh, sure.
With
And
some really cool stuff.
it goes with another thing. So hey, man, we got a $50 ship sitting on the shelf that's not selling because it's not competitive, right? Not high. So that's 2 problems for them. 1, it's a legitimate unit not being played. 2, it's a piece of product not moving because it's not power efficient, right?
Yep.
That goes for the airspeeder and the ATSD. I mean, everyone probably owns an ATSD because it's an ATSD. If you play Imperial, it's cool, right? Like it's a huge model. But I can't tell you how many tournaments I've been to. I've never seen one, right? So to see that thing actually maybe sell now, right? Like it's a twofold for them. Like it makes it played and makes them actually start moving some of that product.
Yeah, and I think it makes. I'm hoping it's gonna change. Damn it!
Sorry,
Evan.
I didn't see it.
He just tipped over his glass.
It's
oh,
empty.
boy, folks. He's loopy.
He's getting sloppy.
Oh boy, we partied too much for our 1-year anniversary here, everybody. So anyway, so then the next one is the FD laser cannon. That's now a range of 1 to 5. That's an errata. So what they said is for new prints of that is going to they're gonna make that change on the card because that's a actual game mechanic that's gonna change.
Yeah. So range. Wow. Jeez.
Papa J just moved that glass out of Evan's
it's
reach.
empty. And
You know what? Why don't
it's
you
fine.
just relax over there, buddy?
Look? Hey.
You and your rosy cheeks.
I'm sorry. I thought this was America. I'm sorry. 1 to 5 is important.
I love how you just bounced right back to
Down back in.
Right, yeah.
1 to 5 is important because really the laser cannon, if you A, deployed it poorly, it never got to be used, and oops, I made a mistake.
Yep.
B, you just don't go in range of it at 1 to 4. You're like, okay, well, I'll just never get shot by you. Was it an area denial piece? Sure.
Yeah.
But 1 to 5, you can actually shoot people in a deployment zone now.
Yeah. Now
Which is-
it's a bigger deal.
It's a little scarier, so you have to keep that. So even if people start experimenting with them, right? That's the big thing is now that they have the 1 to 5, the point is the points didn't change, but maybe you'll start looking at like, I got like 80 points left. What do I do? I'll take a 1.4 cannon and put it in. Like, if it's just something on the table now you have a decision for, it's worth it. That's what's important to me is before the point change, H-12 rocket launchers, the ion gun for the rebel troopers, that thing, like you just wouldn't. You're just like, nah, like forget it. It's not good. But now it's actually got some legitimate choices and everything in the game. Well, not every game has that, but the nice thing about Legion is that pretty much every unit in the game has a choice to it, right? Like, do I take the DLT now or do I take the rocket launcher? Used to be DLT, don't even think about it, right? So it's interesting that now there's so many more positive choices we actually have to think. I think list building is going to get a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and so the other thing, they didn't show it on stream, and I'm going to cover it just really quick here because it affects both. So snipers are getting an errata, so they're not going to have unlimited distance anymore. They're actually getting changed from a range 1 to 5.
Yep, that's very good.
Yep, and then the strike teams are going up to 20 points. So the rifle on the errata, so the upgrade card, not the snipers themselves, not the strike team. And then the strike team,
the strike team's going up. The
strike team's going up to 20, right? The errata is for the
1 to 5.
The 1 to 5 errata is for the weapon itself, yeah. And so that's good. I don't know how much it changes, but 4 points. Well, and you're gonna want 3, right? Usually where the meta is now. So now it's 12 points.
Yeah.
When do you have 12 points to spare?
Yeah. So what's interesting now is it's not infinite range, and that's important. So only 3 things in the game have it now: Veer's 1 card, Leia's 1 card, and the ATSD mortar.
Yeah.
Because they wanted that to be special, and it didn't really feel special. And snipers had it because you could take 3 of them.
So, and here's the thing: with the next thing we're about to talk about, speeder bikes. This changes the game for speeder bikes, giving them a point reduction and making it so snipers potentially
just pick
can't
'em
shoot
off,
them
right,
on
yeah.
even turn 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Dude,
They actually have a chance now. Because
that
used to be
changes everything.
3 snipers shooting to 3 speeder bikes. You probably lose a speeder bike. You're like, okay. You know, right? You're just like, cool. I didn't even get to use this yet.
Yeah, so the speeder bikes took a 15-point dip. That's amazing.
Yeah, because you can do speeder bikes and long range comms now for 85.
Yeah, you could do.
That's fine.
You could do speeder bikes and HQ uplink for 85.
Yep, that's good too.
You do speeder bikes and what was that? What's that new one that's coming with the Clone Wars?
The targeting array.
Yeah,
The targeting array. Yeah, it's 5.1 where it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Holy
real
crap.
good.
Right, so that changes a lot. The other thing that they changed for the Empire was the HH-12. They reduced by 8 points. I think maybe with this new stuff, we may see more vehicle heavy meta. I doubt it, but maybe the HH-12. I don't know.
Well,
because it's got cumbersome and it's an exhaust
if
weapon.
you see more HRTs being played, that'll be HH-12 be good. If you see the 2 new tanks getting played for the new factions, turns out having impact it's like 2 or 3. Anyway, it's impact high impact with 3 black dice that surge to hit. So you're pretty much having a pretty guaranteed at least 2 hits for impact. I mean, right now it doesn't seem great because we're so used to what it currently is.
Yeah.
But when everyone's got at least one sort of armor or vehicle, maybe it's good.
Sure. Yeah, it could change. I have no.
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. I don't know. Like right
This
now,
is
it's
big.
It's hard to say because I just like to see them used. Like how many that used to be Spencer, one of our local guys. He's like, yeah, it's my experimental model. I'll do weird paint stuff on it just to try, and then if it doesn't work, I'll just throw it out. Like,
oh my god, I know. Like, how many of us have just really like trashed this
got, like,
HH-12?
yeah, I got 6 of them just sitting in the corner.
And
Like,
I remember when we first started playing, there was a guy. I don't know. I believe you came to that tournament out in Rochester, and he had the rocket actually coming out of the HH-12
that's
with
Buffalo.
the smoke
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything. Oh, Buffalo, yeah. Dude, that was cool. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is... And I think I've talked about this on the podcast before where it was like, everyone had ATSTs at the time and
You brought-
ATRTs. And I'm like, oh, yeah,
you
I'm
bring
going to break two
HH-12s, no one brings. You play
HH-12s.
none of them.
And then no one... And then that, like, I think it was that week, snipers came, right?
Yeah,
And so the whole meta changed.
yeah. Whoops.
But yeah, so that's
Big oof.
HH-12 down 8 points. E-Web's my favorite unit. The E-Webs
Got rid of
lost
plotting. Thank God.
So now, basically, you can move. Now, you couldn't do that before, right?
Honestly, again, like I feel like a lot they're trying to be more careful with the first run of this.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to run to an X-Wing issue where something leaves the gate nuts and then they can't really do anything about it for a while. They just have to watch the world burn and the game burn. So I think they're smart by taking, when they launch something, a higher point cost, a higher, like plotting, like putting that keyword in there and be like, I don't want this to be too good, right? So you put it in, people are still using them. Hell, I want list in Canada ran a tank, 2 speeder bikes, and an E-Web. What? Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's nuts. So to have the loose plotting so you can at least move and get them into position, right? That's fine.
Right, and I
That's
think
fine.
Alex said it on the stream. He was like, for that turn 1, because turn 1, you'd have trouble. You'd have to...
You didn't do anything. It was a wasted action.
Right, well, and the thing with E-Webs that I've always told everyone is turn 1's your biggest turn, or, well, not even deployment's your biggest turn, because you got to deploy them in a position that's right.
That's actually
Or
gonna
if
get a
you
shot.
get, right, or if you
some
get
time
rapid
during the game.
reinforcements, I always pull the E-Webs
Yeah.
for rapid, because then I can put them wherever I want.
Yeah.
So that's great for them. So now they're moving, a fair distance across the board to get in position. It's great. It's great.
Right, they're 55 points. There should be, again, this is one of those things like, oh, I used to make Imperialists. I'm like, nah, I won't use them. They're, like, that one move will never get them anywhere. But for 55, like, it's worth experimenting with.
Oh
now,
my god, I
you
know. It's making things so much better. I'm so excited. And then with that, just to jump a little bit, so the overcharge generator and the barrage generator both dropped 3 points from 10 to 7. Dude, that's huge. That's huge for those E-Webs.
That's fine, yeah.
So like I'm building a list. Actually, I was talking to Evan about it last week that I'm calling "Let Them Eat Suppression," and I've been wanting to put E-Webs in it with barrage generators, and I did. But then I was like, man, that's a lot of points for a barrage generator. But then I was like, 7 points. That's way better now. So
well, right, because even if you did 3 with 3 of those, you save 9 points. That's a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, and so that's good. The ATST dropped 25 points.
That's about right.
That's huge.
So the
That's
ATST at 195, was okay. At least like people were bringing them. No one was really bringing airspeeder. At least you'd see them show up to the table once in a while. But for 25 points down, you could put the hammered pilot and have them at 185.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like, that's good, right? Because the Impact 3 is going to be real important soon. Now that more vehicles show up. Right, like, that's...
Yeah.
So I think that's real smart. Actually, so I forgot to mention this earlier. There's a dude at Nova playing double airspeeder.
Oh.
Yeah, I came up to him. I said, "You're the hero of the rebellion." I think he won one game, too. He was, like, at a table for a minute. He actually fought the guy who came in second, John Grassner, and he's like, I didn't know what to do. Like, there's two of them. What do you know?
Well, that's always been the thing with the double airspeeder is it's like, whoa, crap. Because they lay down crazy amount of damage, but it's just positioning them right, playing them right, because you're afraid you're going to lose them quick. Well, now it's a little bit easier when you lose one because
now you can send one out and be like, man, I'm down 140 points.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I mean, I would almost put out, I don't even know. I got to think about it and like start building lists with these points now, but like, I almost wouldn't put anything on them and just run two of them
again,
for
it's
280. Holy crap.
It's worth experimenting with, right? Yeah. That's the biggest thing to me with all this is with the points. So buffs are always better than nerfs. Always, right? If you're going to nerf something, just buff everything else around it to make them all go up that power level. So the fact that these are all just points decreases, I think they said they're going to see some points increases.
Well, you saw with the snipers. I'm sure there'll be some other ones.
Yeah, and that's, again, like, that's fine because the nerfs, like, those, no one, I don't know if anybody I've ever talked to who's been like, yeah, I love triple sniper meta. It's great. I love running into triple. You know, like, no, everyone's like, yeah, cool. Like, you brought them because it was a necessary evil.
Right. And
now maybe you don't. I mean, for 50-something points, they're still a fine babysitter for an objective. You just throw them in the back. They get to shoot 1 to 5. Like, it's still not bad at all.
No, but I think the difference is let's use it with the speeder bikes, right? The reason that speeder bikes fell out when snipers came on board is because I could put my sniper on the other end of the board.
Oh yeah, and shoot.
You can't hide with a speeder bike, and I just sit there and I just shoot you, and your only chance is if you could maybe make it to me, right?
Yep.
Now it's like I have to put him up a little bit more, or I'm waiting 2 turns for somebody to come within my range.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the speeder bike, that gives the speeder bike a lot more opportunity to position.
I still think 1 to 5 is good. I think they're still worth maybe taking if you're like I don't know what to do with some points, taking 1 or 2 of them. I think that's still okay. Actually, I think taking even just 1 now. They don't feel as critical as they used to be. So I would take 1 as just like a babysitter. Like, you're in key positions. This is the one no one's going to touch. You can sit back here.
Yeah, it's a cheap babysitter. I think the points change affects Sabs a little bit too. We were talking about this. I'm like, man, that kind of sucks for Sabs. But you're right. They needed. No one was really playing them correctly besides Lupo, and now people are starting to. But like, they are freaking.
So they could be
a problem.
Yeah, you always had some like clutch plays with them when like a stim wouldn't kill them, and then I'd see a bomb that I didn't. I'm like, I don't deserve this bomb. I killed that unit.
Right.
This is some BS.
Well, that's my favorite thing about them, right? Is, and Evan's seen this firsthand, is that you're like this. So this is how I use them. I kind of set up my mines in some places. Then I get a little aggressive with them, and then Evan's like, "Oh boy, I'm taking this boy out."
Yeah.
I stims them, and then I just I run basically suicide bombers, and I just run them straight in, and then Evan's like, "Whoa, where'd that guy come from?" And then it's like blows a bunch of stuff up. Yeah. And
he just dies. You take him off the board before he even rolls a bomb for himself. You're like, "Oh, Stim gets him. Whoops."
Yeah.
But so even 3 Sabs was abusive, right? It's 3 cheap activations that you can do stuff with. So to see them go up 2 is important.
Yeah, so then besides the sniper teams and the strike teams, now the upgrades that got changed, you had targeting scopes got reduced by 2 points, so that went from 6 to 4.
Something I talked about a while ago, yeah, that's good.
And I think this is needed, right? Because we've been playing around with these with clones and like thinking about, hey, if we put targeting scopes on clones or what, you know?
Well, you're already in this many points for them, so you might as well, who cares about another 6 points? But now for 4, you're like, okay, that's legitimately...
I think that changes the conversation even more in a positive for that, right?
Yeah, I think it gives them precise 1, right? Like, it gives them... They have to pay to have that Stormtrooper ability, or Stormtroopers just have it built in. But otherwise, like, it's 2 points is 2 points. That's recon intel on something, right?
Yeah, so that's really interesting. They dropped 2 of these force powers. So they dropped force reflexes by 5 points.
That's good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
It needed it because
it was a lot.
That was stupid and no one was using it anymore.
You know, Luke, a while back at Neo, he made this point of saying, when you pay more for something, it should get exponentially better with the points you're paying.
Right.
So you shouldn't 160 point thing shouldn't be as good as 280 point things. It should be better because you're putting more into it, right?
Right.
So you take like 160 point Luke,
More risk, more reward.
yeah. Then you put another 15 point upgrade on, or like Vader, you put Force that's 15 points, and you put
Right.
another 10 point saber throw. Then you put this other thing on, so you become so expensive that it almost becomes silly to invest so much in them.
Well, and speaking of, saber throw got reduced to 5 points, which I think that needed that too.
Right.
That's huge.
Because that was stapled on to like everybody who didn't have a gun.
Right.
Right, like Obi will probably want to use it. Dooku will probably maybe want to use it.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think the two new operatives which they showcased today are going to want it, right?
Yep.
So this just really helps that. And then they teased, which we had seen some of this, and I think we gleamed. We didn't know how much the points were going to be for offensive push, so they teased a new card that's coming in those. What are those?
It's like 4 points.
Those upgrade packs for the core units. So it's offensive push, 4 points. You have to exhaust it, and then while performing a standard move, you gain tactical 1.
Oh, do you have to exhaust it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I didn't catch that at first. That's
Yeah.
good. That's better than I thought it was. I'm like, wow, 4 points for free game every time you move. That's nuts.
Yeah. So that was the stream today. You know what? They also spoiled the 1 pip operative cards, but why don't we get to that in a second? Right now, we have a very special ground crew for you, and we'll listen to that now.
Ground crew! Ground crew! Can you hear me? As the great galactic empire moved across the galaxy with its brand of order and fear, few stood up to the tyranny of the empire. However, as the years passed, pockets of resistance grew, working in secret against the empire. With the growing resistance and an increase in firepower, a rebel alliance was formed. This set the stage for a galactic conflict. These are the stories from the men, women, and humanoids of the Galactic War.
So, from our understanding, this next recording is actually from the Rebel Alliance. Before every battle, they would make the rookies get up and sing a song from their planet, a sort of folk song about battle or going home or whatever the rookie chose to sing. And so it was really interesting. We found this in the archives. Apparently, this was a very rousing song, and the rebels attributed their win in their next battle to this performance. Enjoy.
Join us next time for stories from behind the lines.
All right, that was Ground Crew. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was something special we put together for this episode. It was fun. And I mean, if anyone's interested, not that you would be, but I totally could provide the music to you guys and the lyrics to that song.
No big deal. He just kind of modified it. I made the mistake of, he was messaging. He's like, hey, check this out. And I heard it, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Where'd you find that song? And I made the mistake of asking that. And I see a message come back, find, question mark? What do you mean, find? I'm like, uh-oh.
Well, you didn't say song. You said, where did you find that? And I go, find?
Yeah, I'm like, whoops.
I made that, homie.
Look, I woke up from a depression nap. All right, I was a little lost. I'm like, where am I? What's going on?
But yeah, that was fun. That was fun to do.
That was good.
And so anyways, so that was that. So we touched... Go ahead.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
I want to give a couple shouts from Nova before I forget.
No, I'm shutting this down.
Right now.
Shutting it down.
Congrats to Kyle for taking home the whole thing. He's a great player, and he made it, right? That was a long couple grueling days. To me, the John Grassner, one of my X-Wing pals, who's been big in X-Wing and Imperial Assault, for only been playing for a few months to go undefeated until he meets Kyle, and that's awesome. Like, that's crazy, right? He was real solid, and he talked to us after. He's like, I'd never played a Palp before, so I didn't know what I was in for.
You know, and it's funny, the Scoundrels have been talking about this on their podcast the last couple episodes because Kyle's been playing a lot with Palp.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Palpatine, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, and so one of the things he's been saying that he loves so much about it is no one plays him, and so the people who end up coming up against, the likelihood of them having faced a Palp is very small. So it's a surprise unit.
So that was really good for him. I'm real proud of him because he, it is a bummer because he comes in second. Like, he makes worlds, he does all this stuff. So, but he did it, man. Like, that's should be inspiration to anybody who's like, man, I don't want to go to this event. Like, I haven't played that much. Like, he didn't, right? He just jumped into Legion a few months ago and he did that. So
he did well. Yeah.
That should be some motivating, right? This is to me because I play for a year and I won 1 and 2, man. I got dumpstered real hard. But one more shout out. One of our fans came up to us by the name of, if I can find it, Adam Newton and his wife. Both listen to the podcast, and I want to say, hey, thanks for coming to talk to me.
What's his wife's name, Evan?
Miss Newton?
Not Miss.
Ms. Newton? Mrs. Newton?
It's his wife.
I don't know.
What's her name, Evan?
I don't remember. I'm sorry. Wow. Just blasted me like that. Huh? Okay. You know what? My bad.
We're real sorry, man.
I'm sorry.
If you guys listen to the podcast, you know how bad Evan is with names. And we were joking before the podcast, and Rachel said something to Evan about, so whose name are you going to mess up today? Well, we just figured it out. Miss, whenever you're ready, if you want to write in and let us know what your name is, I'd be more than happy to say your name on the podcast, unlike my chucklehead friend over here who doesn't even know your name.
All right, free shots, okay?
I'll never forget your name, madam.
Yeah. And everyone else who met me, thank you for coming over and saying hi.
Ooh, who told you to get back to work? Anyone?
One. I believe it was Ray.
You're all fired.
Yeah, that's fair. Ray and I start stomping around. I'm never going back to work. Never, ever. But no, it was really great meeting you guys. I hope to see you at the next event. That was the best part of Nova for me, honestly, was just getting to hang out in the Legion area. I was going to say the Nova area. Legion area. And just meet everybody. Thanks to the guys running the event. I know you don't get to play, and that stinks. But, it's always appreciated. Someone's got to take that bullet. But, great time overall, and, thanks for saying hi.
Did you say thanks for saying hi or staying high?
Saying hi.
All right. Hey, listen. Okay. So that was that.
What,
Evan?
Whatever. Where'd you been?
Evan, you know what?
Yeah.
I was going to talk about the new operatives, but I'm going to hold that.
Uh-oh.
I want to talk to you.
Okay.
Evan,
Yeah.
why don't we reminisce? Let's go in the way back.
Okay. The Wayback Machine.
Okay. What do you remember of your first time on the old podcast?
I remember doing a podcast for my Radical Squadron group, having you on.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you jumped on,
and
then you're like, I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm like, all right, dog, cool. And then you did, and it was better than mine. So I'm like, all right, it's fair.
To be fair, it wasn't just because yours was really terrible that I decided to start a podcast.
Jeez, all right.
I think I was already heading that way anyways, right?
No, yeah, okay.
I'm trying to remember. I think so. I think I was heading that way anyways. You and I had
it's
talked.
fine. It's fine, Jay.
And you're like, we'll jump on mine. And
no, it's fine. I'll give you a ladder to get off my back. It's cool. It's all right.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I
I gave you an olive branch there, but you turned it down. So it's
the one
time
thing
to
you
rip
could
you
always
apart.
say to Jay that'll make him upset is like, you did something better, and that's just it.
Yeah. So, anyways, I was on your podcast. We
Yeah.
talked about Legion.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, we had you on. Then you did your own specifically for just Legion. Because mine was an X-wing, but we want to talk about Legion. And you're like, hey man, do you want to come on mine? We'll do like a.
I think it was about Nova, wasn't it? Like we had you on
so.
after Nova.
It might have been.
We didn't make it down there for Nova, and we're like, oh hey, we know somebody that went to Nova. Come tell us everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I came on for that one, and then I was off for a while.
Yep.
And it ended up just being you and me playing Legion most of the time, right?
Yep.
And then so we just decided, hey, let's just keep going.
Yeah. So I kicked Nick off, and I put you on. You know, sometimes Moneyball, right? We got to Moneyball this podcast. We got to bring in the right people.
Folks, I keep those numbers up, man.
The cheapest price, and just,
This is literally all I have, folks. Don't take this away from me.
Make sure they're hitting right. And, hey, listen, if you guys want to write in, if you're sick of Evan,
oh, no.
you let us know, and I will kick him off this podcast
no, not Evan.
Immediately. All right, well, let me ask you this then, Evan.
Yeah.
So a year ago.
Uh-huh.
Year or so ago, roughly, right? You joined the podcast. What did you think? Where did you think this was going to go?
Honestly, so...
I would hope you would be honest. Yes, be honest.
Oh, hey,
Just tell us honestly.
Okay, it's just words, all right? Easy. So I thought it was just going to be like more or less what I was doing. It's like kind of like a book club that we ended up talking about. But then you had a lot of like grandiose ideas, and they weren't... I don't use that word negatively. That's a positive, right? You're like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. Let's make mats. Let's do this. I'm like, oh, okay. And so we did. And you started putting more, because you are also an excellent like sound editor, video editor. You were everything that I didn't have. Like when I was doing mine, I had a SoundCloud account.
That's
right?
what the ladies tell me.
It's fair. But it was, right, I didn't have any technical stuff. It was just me hitting, I didn't even know how to use that free voice recorder I was using, Audacity, I believe. I barely knew how to use that, so I was just getting through because I just wanted to do it because I thought it was fun. But you took it to a whole new like level, and that's cool. Like I respect that. So we started doing it, and it became. So there are days, right, when it becomes work, when it's like you and I are like, man, what are we going to talk about today, right? And we do it, right? Like it's because consistency and having constant content's important.
Yeah.
So even if it's just us talking about games, or when we go off like last week was just like no Legion news, Nova's coming, whatever. Let's just
let's talk about random stuff.
Yeah. That's important. To have a constant schedule of sticking to it. So, I think we've both grown a lot through doing it, in the community, and just as like we've learned all the hard things. We've learned the hard way in just about everything, right? Nothing we've never really had advice that worked out for us for the most part. So we've always done. It's just how I end up learning anything, right? Like, but through pain. But we did it, and I think we've come quite a ways. It's been quite the trip.
It has been, yeah. It's crazy. I was just thinking back, like, when I started, it's funny, I never thought we would get to where we're at today. I always wanted to.
Yeah, sure.
Like I wanted to I wanted to make this a thing, and hopefully one day I still do. Hopefully one day I want to make it, just one of the things that I do for my profession or whatever. And but man, it actually it grew bigger than I thought it was going to grow, and faster. Like I thought
faster
is
the thing that shocked me.
Yeah, I thought for sure with like 3-4 years of doing this before we like got any real notoriety or anybody really started listening to us. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, people are listening now. So it's been great. The community's been great. I've same as, just want to kind of echo what Evan was saying about meeting people when I make it out to these tournaments and stuff. Like, it's amazing meeting you guys, and I'm so happy that you listen and you enjoy us and you keep us in your car or on your ride or in your headphones or wherever.
Again, it's always a shock to me, right? Like, I know I see the numbers, so I know somebody's listening. But when people come up to me and they say, hey, we really like Josh's podcast, I'm like, what, really? There's that one gentleman who's walking around with our, do you know his name?
What was his name, Evan?
I don't know. Do you know his name? I forgot. This was last Adepticon. I feel bad.
Evan, what was his name?
I don't know. Do you know his name?
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, no, you get the high ground here. But he came over to us, and he was wearing a 5th Trooper shirt. And at the time, our friends just kind of wearing him ironically, right? It was like, hey, we're whatever. And I'm like, hey, where'd you get that? And he's like, oh, I bought it. I'm like, excuse me, what? And he's like, yeah, I bought it from your store. I'm like, hey, Jay, get over here. Hey, Jay, meet this guy, right? Like, this is, number one fan right here, right? So that was awesome, right? Like, it's cool to see it grow.
Yeah.
And, it's fun, man. Like, it's having a blast playing Legion, having a blast meeting people. The game is meant to be played for fun, right? It's a game. It's not, you're not working in a mine, right? Like, it's supposed to be fun all the time, even if I don't always feel that way when I'm losing.
Well, you have your days.
No,
we all do.
Yeah, I definitely do. But it's just fun, man. Like, it's been a real trip, the whole thing.
Yeah, it has. And I've really enjoyed it because every day's different, and we've transitioned, and I'm hoping to get back to this, but like we used to in the beginning, we were doing the video too.
Yeah.
And for all of you listening, here's a little secret. I've been promising something new coming up soon, and I'm building a new studio office here at the old Shalansky homestead and
Shalansky Farms.
And as soon as that's completed, we're a little delayed, but as soon as that's completed, our plan is to go back to video again. So you'll be able to see these two old good-looking boys on the old YouTubes. So that'll be interesting.
The goal is to maybe like live stream it too.
Yeah, I would love to. I think that's inevitably what we're going to do. Like,
so we can take like questions.
Yeah,
things like
and
that.
then what we would do is record it and then publish it
Yeah.
to the podcast audio only the next day. But yeah, that's the goal. So that's shortly, next few months, we're hoping to get that off the ground. We got new mats that I designed, and hopefully in the next few weeks, I'm going to actually be taking pre-orders for those.
Are we still doing the Kickstarter for that?
No. So
Okay.
I thought about kickstarting, and I'll share this with everyone, is that there's a lot of Kickstarters right now, and I just don't want to be part of that. So what I'm going to do is the same thing we did before. We're just going to take pre-orders, and then once we see a good number start to happen, we'll put in the order.
And the new mats look awesome.
Yeah.
They look real cool.
They came out nice, and so I worked a long time on those, so hopefully everyone enjoys them. And for those of you who haven't seen them yet, you will shortly, I promise. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to start pre-orders, and then that'll kind of get us in a position where we can place the big order for all the mats. So, look out for that. We got some great designs, new way of how we're doing the sidebars and stuff, so it's going to be off the hook.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think we're going to start streaming games, so you can just hang out with us while we play a game. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be what the end goal was always meant to be, I think.
Yeah, we got a lot of good plans coming. So look out for that. But, we're talking about where we were a year mentally and what we thought. So what I thought would be fun was I'm going to bring on two of our original guests. Our first two guests we ever had interviewed on the podcast was our own Kyle Dornbos, who's now part of our part of our Fifth Trooper network, and then also Kevin
I am
Valier,
here
who's been
with
working with us on stuff for
Kevin
Fifth Trooper
Valier
Network as
from
well.
Imperial Discipline
So I'm
blog.
going to cut
Hello,
to that
Kevin.
now, and you can listen
How's it going,
to,
Jay?
you know,
Good. And
kind of
also
us
with Kyle
reminisce with
Dornbos
them
from
as well.
our own Fifth Trooper Network, Notorious Scoundrels, and writer of so many great blogs. What's up, Kyle?
Just the one blog, but many articles.
Sure. Blog posts, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
And Kevin, not that you don't write great blogs.
No, that's okay.
No, you
Okay.
don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, one of my top 5 articles all time is Kyle's, so it tracks.
Oh, that's funny. So the reason we're having you guys on is a year ago we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary. This is our big special that the folks at home are listening to right now. And a year ago, you both were our first interviews. I believe, Kevin, you were episode 2 or 3, and Kyle, you were 4 or 5. And so, you guys came in and we talked about your blogs at the time. You guys were kind of some of the first blogs out there at the time for Legion. And, we kind of asked you what was going on. And so I guess the first question is, Kevin, why don't we start with you? How's the last year been for you? Like, do you remember a year ago and where you thought things would be to now?
Yeah, well, first, I'm glad we're starting with me because Kyle's news in recent history is way better. Gosh, yeah, it's weird to think of a year ago just because, if anything, the point of Imperial Discipline at first was a way to help me process what I was learning because I had such little experience with war games. And I figured if I could get a few people helped out along the way, that'd be great. And it's been so much fun to continue doing the blog. And every time that I hear from someone that just like some random article that I posted, months ago or whatever, helped somebody or they found inspiration from it, whatever. It feels good. It's nice to be that small part of the community. Just because I don't know. I mean, I feel like the community overall is really good, and so if anything, hopefully that's a reflection on my blog too.
Well, and I remember, I went back and I remembered you had said similar things back then, like, you were really interested in getting newer players in and being that kind of gap, right, for new players into wargaming and kind of maybe documenting your journey into it. And at the time I went back and listened and you said, I asked you what you were hoping to maybe do in the next year. And you said weirder stuff. And so I was wondering, did you get into any weirder stuff?
It's funny. I'm not sure that I did with the Legion. I think I've kept it pretty vanilla with the Legion, but working with miniatures and everything did get me into Gunpla, working with Gundam models, and that was not a thing I ever thought that I would be interested in. Oh, I barely ever watched the Gundam shows. Like I watched Gundam Wing a ton, but it's basically a transferable skill set. So that's probably the weirdest thing that I've gotten into. Yeah, it's fun. I love just like the basic skills of dry brushing and using metallic paint for metal effects is puts you just like leaps and bounds above like the average Joe over in Gundam models. So it's nice to just have that leg up, honestly.
So has Legion, besides the models for Gundam, have you gotten into any other games outside of Legion because of Legion?
Ooh, no, I think Legion has solidified for me that war games as a whole, not really my thing. I just happen to love Star Wars so much and to love Legion so much that it totally works. I briefly considered trying out Blood Bowl and Guild Ball, and I think the games are great. They look really cool, but they're just not for me. So no, yeah, funnily enough, I think it's solidified that like this is probably going to be the one war game I do, and I really like that.
So, what has been so since you started your blog, what has been your favorite maybe memory so far of being either part of the community or writing the blog or the game? So what's been kind of your favorite memory?
I mean, selfishly, it was talking to Luke Eddy at a particular tournament in Syracuse this summer.
Oh, what tournament was that?
Oh, you know, it's a small thing called the Northeast Open. I think honestly, I mean, like, not to blow too much smoke up your ass, but like, oh, that whole tournament is for me the highlight of everything that I've done with Legion, of getting to meet people like Kyle and you, and Brendan and Bushfax and like all these sploosh, all these awesome guys who helped me have so much fun. Kodak too. I spent a lot of time talking to. But talking specifically to Luke and like getting the feedback from him and just seeing how chill and down to earth he is, that was real special.
I just want the audience at home to know that I had no idea you were going to answer like that. So that was not a setup to sell our tournament or what we did there. So I appreciate that. Those were kind words. So thank you.
It's easy to say nice things, and it was a real fun event.
So Kyle, things have changed for you over the year for sure. You had your Never Tell Me the Odds blog, which is gangbusters. It does very well in the community, which I went and gobbled up and put on the Fifth Trooper Network. And then you also started a podcast in the past year as well, since the last time we talked.
Yeah. I mean, like looking back a year, I could never have imagined myself just where things are now, as far as all the fun things that I get to do. A year ago, we had, I think it was, I don't even know if Nova had happened yet by the time you interviewed me, but I think I just started my blog in like July of last year. So, just wrote a couple articles on unit guides and efficiency, and no one else was really doing that in the same way at the time. And I was just kind of excited to have my little niche, but as I've met some more awesome people in the community, and started obviously the Scoundrels podcast with you and David and Mike. Certainly, the fun stuff I get to do has grown a lot. I've kind of moved away from. At one point, I was turning out like an article a week on unit guides and stuff like that. Now I can barely manage one a month between all the other stuff.
I feel that in a real big way. I was doing 2 posts a week when I very first started, and I immediately realized how terrible of an idea that was.
So Kevin, you said, I went back and listened, and you said even at that time you were like, I was doing 2 a week, but I think I'm moving down to 1 a week. And Kyle, something funny that you said was, at that point when I interviewed you, we kind of had there was some stagnation because of between the Veers Leia release, and so there's like a 4-month gap between release there, where we were really struggling. And you had said that you were really excited because you believed you were going to catch up to all the units eventually. And
yeah, that's funny.
And
I should go back and listen to that clip. That's
yeah.
I definitely can't seem to find time anymore to write a unit guide a week. I also have a habit of like I can't seem to keep them under like 4,000 words. So it's not a small endeavor to write one of those. But I am doing one this month on Shore Troopers. So
yeah, baby.
Yeah, it's nice. It's actually honestly it's nice to you mentioned sort of your hostile takeover of Never Tell Me the Odds.
And it was hostile. Don't anybody think otherwise.
No, it was a very natural symbiotic thing that I had been sort of thinking about already. And honestly, it was kind of like there's just so many other things going on right now. It's kind of a relief to not feel like I had to pump out an article a week. So I'm still excited to be able to write stuff and, do the podcast and play in tournaments and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's I know now that I'm never going to be able to catch up on all the units, and I've come to terms with it.
Well, it's funny that you say that too, because for those listening, the reason that we combined Kyle and David from Yavin Base and everybody was because we're all so busy, not just with our own lives, but with the Legion community and everything going on in Legion, that we were like, hey, if we all write an article once a month, then that'll get us 1 a week, right? And it's just so funny that I was listening back, and I think back then, like I was listening to some of our episodes, the ones that you guys were on, but also the ones you weren't, and like how we were kind of struggling like around episode 10, 12 to like have content, you know what I mean? And now it's like I think maybe once in a while I'll have an episode where like, well, nothing happened today, so we're going to talk about something else, or this week, right? But it's like, I mean, every week it seems like something like this week's the point changes, and then the that release today of the alt sculpt Obi-Wan, and it's just like it seems like every week something's going on with Legion now.
Yeah, it's been like a deluge of news and updates and unit previews, and I mean, there is no shortage of things to talk about, for sure. There was like the dark times back in last summer when there were, I think it was like 4 months or 3 months between
Yeah.
Leia and fleets and Han and commandos, and basically since then we've had pretty regular month by month releases, and then the last couple months have just been crazy with like preview articles and reviews or reveals of new units, and now we got this points rebalance thing. I mean, it's very clear to me that Fantasy Flight is heavily invested in and supporting the future of Legion, which is great.
Yeah, well, and Kyle, it's funny. That was something you were hoping for a year ago, because when we talked, we were in that 4 month gap, and I was listening back, and now knowing you and being friends with you, like you kind of sounded like a little like, oh man, we haven't seen anything. Like I think we were all feeling that, like, oh crap, like they released this game and it's just gonna die on the vine here, because it was like 4 months of just nothing. And you had said something where you were like, I really hope I think they're going to, and I hope that they're going to start taking this game seriously. And I mean, they have. Like, I don't think anyone can argue that.
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, just today, we got 2 Legion articles in one day.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time when we would go weeks, and we'd be like, I'd be just hitting refresh on my phone, and I'd be like, are we going to get anything? And now it's like I can't even check it fast enough, you know?
Well, and yeah, I mean, Kevin, I'm sure you go through this too as content creator. Like, yeah, I can't keep up. Like, so this is a part of our podcast that we're recording for our 1 year anniversary, and I have to do it over a couple days. And even though doing it over a couple days, I can't keep up with all the releases, and like I'll have to talk about them next week. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. I have largely chosen not to do like a breaking news kind of thing for the blog just because I find that exhausting. But like every so often, like I will have just enough time at work to be like, I'm watching the live stream anyways. Like I might as well take notes on it, and then I find myself just like hammering away and trying to get something up as quick as possible. So the bug definitely bites fast when it bites, but yeah, it is. I have known, and this was pretty rare for me, but I've basically known what I'm going to be posting from June on through about October since about April. I've just had I've had so much to work with that I have not had to think much about new articles in a very long time. I've just had to get them out.
Yeah, and Kyle, we have this too, where it's not like sometimes the confusion isn't in there's nothing to post about when we're talking about like what we're going to write next. Like Kyle, like you had like 4 or 5 choices for this month, right? Like it's crazy that we have this many options where we're like literally you could talk about anything and it's going to be relevant and it's going to be topical. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like now I want to write about Palpatine, but like,
Right.
I got to do shores and the point rebalance first. So yeah, no shortage of inspiration that Legion is providing us. That's for sure.
So Kevin, how's it been on the hobby side? Especially like, I mean, we're about to see a giant influx of new players. I think we all believe that and know that to be true. And not, I think a lot of times, my podcast and Kyle's podcast, we tend to focus a little bit on competitive, just because that's where we're organized. So I guess I'd like to ask you from like a casual hobby perspective, have you started to see that influx of I guess readers for your blog and like maybe conversations that you've been having?
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's just in the requests I get for tutorials. Like usually, if I get a request, it's something simple enough that I can knock out with my limited experience. But I've noticed a couple more requests come in recently where it's been like, that's out of my wheelhouse. That's a pretty complex thing. And so I think just like the people who started with Legion, um, the people who started with Legion have come a long way in their own right, but also I think it's getting an influx of people from other hobbies who've been doing this a while and are seeing the quality of the sculpts. We talked the last episode that I was on about all the sculpts, and I had that great interview. But I mean, even like the Shore Troopers coming out right now, I cannot wait to get my hands on Shore Troopers because they look gorgeous in every single paint scheme that I've seen. Um, so I think it's both a factor of just like the audience being better, but also Fantasy Flight really stepping up in terms of the sculpts and availability. I think definitely the contrast paint release has also been big because I think for people who don't necessarily want to or can't invest a lot of time in getting way better at the hobby, those contrast paints are really, really good. I've been using them on a couple like Dungeons and Dragons minis just to kind of practice, and man, are they fun! Like I have not regretted a purchase of those yet.
Yeah, it's really funny. Talking about contrast paints, I was actually just thinking about this the other day. So I'm doing a bunch of like moving of things at my house and reorganizing and all this stuff. And I popped open all my D&D and Pathfinder minis, and I have like tons of the Reaper stuff that they did on Kickstarter. And I was just like, oh my God, like this was going to be such like this endeavor to get these painted. And I'm like, I have contrast paints now. I could do anything. And so like I was just so excited to think about it in that respect, but I've just been so focused on Legion and painting Legion minis that it's almost like and this is a good on FFG, like I've almost kind of forgot about other games, especially war games.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've got some friends who play X-wing primarily, and they dabble in the hobby stuff a bit. And every once in a while, a release gets dropped, and they see the article, and they'll pop up in my messages. I'm not sure we're obliterating Warhammer or X-wing in it by any means, but it's nice to see for FFG anyways, the quality of those sculpts rewarded and definitely drawing interest. And I think the more they get into the cool prequel characters and some of those interesting OT characters, the more we'll see it.
Yeah, so Kyle, you used to be into Warhammer, right? Like, have you even looked back at all?
The short answer is not really. I so I've played Warhammer since I was 12, basically. Uh, and a friend of mine when Legion came out was like, "Hey, try this Star Wars game with me. It looks pretty good." And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm super invested in Warhammer. I guess I'll give it a shot." So I gave it a shot. And I'm like, "This game is amazing." So I like Star Wars. I've always also enjoyed the 40K Grimdark. But like any kid that grew up in the 80s and 90s, I also love Star Wars. And just the mechanics of Legion are just so much better than like any other miniature game that I've played. So yeah, it speaks to me. Just everything about it, mechanically speaking, is like my jam. So
Yeah,
I've not looked back. Is the short answer to your question.
yeah, it's so odd. Like I was saying about the D&D minis and like getting them out when I was like reorganizing and packing stuff up and moving it around, and I was just like, I was like, I haven't legitimately touched another like involved game since I started Legion. Like I was playing Keyforge pretty heavily and clearly talking about it on a podcast, but like that was just those are easy, right? It's not a lot of thought put into that. You can just pick a deck, go play. It's relatively straightforward. But like I was looking at all my D&D stuff and my Pathfinder stuff, and I was looking at like uh, you know, I have tons of Warhammer Fantasy stuff that I never brought into Age of Sigmar. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, I don't even miss any of those games really because Legion is just so good.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just looking at my. I played Dark Angels and Orcs for 40K. I was just looking at my Dark Angels in my minis case yesterday, and I'm like, man, those look great, and they've been in there for a year. And
Yeah,
they're gonna continue to sit there in my minis case and look great, and that's probably about it.
yeah, I know. Like the same, yeah, same. Like all the Warhammer, the fan, like Orcs and Goblins army that I painted in the past, like 3,000 point Orc and Goblin army, which took forever, and it's just like, yep, that's gone now. I'm never playing with that again. Like it's all Legion.
It's
I
crazy.
briefly dipped back into X-Wing in spring of this year and repainted a small Rebel squad right around the time 2.0 was being released. And they saw play for about a month, and they've just been sitting unloved on my bookshelf since then.
I mean, do you think so? What do you think it is? Like, is it the combination of our love for Star Wars and the game, or is it the game so compelling and the community so compelling? Like, what do you guys like? What's your read, Kevin? I'll let you go first. Like, what's your read on why we're so addicted to this game?
I think they did a really good job getting the visual style right. Um, I yeah, I mean, like I'll say this frequently, but whenever I do a demo, I try and have my ATST and Palpatine and the Royal Guards off to the side because, like, if you've seen Star Wars once, you know these shapes, you know these looks, and it just feels so good. Even when the ATST, I mean, like we're getting the points decrease, which is great, but even when the ATST wasn't the best unit for the Empire, I had so much fun playing it because it looks so dang cool on the board. And so I think that between just how good it looks, but also the thematic, I think the looks and the theme they nailed. Palpatine feels about like I would expect this like decrepit Sith Lord to feel. And Vader in the right scenarios is appropriately terrifying. I recently started playing Double Bounty List in Yavin Based Team League, and that feels just as fun. I'm sure Kyle will be able to compare better the mechanics and talk a lot about that. But for me, it feels and looks so dang good that even if I'm not the greatest at the game, I don't care that much because it's such a joy to play.
Yeah. So, Kyle, moving to you. What do you think?
So I have to make a confession. Um, as far as theme and setting are concerned, I prefer like the Warhammer 40K universe to Star Wars. But just the game itself and I've always loved Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. This is not like one is good and one is bad. It's just um, you know a potato tomato situation. But
So
like
what?
as far uh, you know what I mean. Did I mix my euphemisms there?
Yeah.
It's okay. I
Yeah.
do it all the time.
Yeah, you know. Um, anyway, the mechanics for Legion are just incredible. Like as a competitive game. So as you guys know, not that I necessarily expected to when I first started, but I've played this game now quite a bit competitively, and compared to any other minis game I've played, it's just so good between the activation system where you pull tokens and go back and forth to the command cards to the cover system and the dice. Like everything about it is just excellent from a mechanics perspective. And you alluded to this, Kevin. I agree that they, like, so far have really nailed the theme of all the units. Like, Emperor Palpatine feels like Emperor Palpatine when you put him on the table. Vader feels like Vader. Luke feels like you expect that he should be if you were running around dicing up stormtroopers. Like, they really nailed, I think, thematically, all of those lovable Star Wars units when you put them on the table. So it's the mechanics, it's the theme, everything about it is just great.
So, all right. So here's my question. I'd like to leave on, and I'll ask each of you. And Kyle, we'll start with you. If I'm a new player and I'm just getting in with Clone Wars, what is one piece of advice you would give me?
Um, I would say find a buddy to start with. Just economically speaking, for starters, it makes a lot of sense to, like you both buy a core set and then you swap factions. Like, if you're playing droids, give your buddy clones and take his droids and vice versa. Both because economically that makes sense, and then you have someone else also to learn the game with. Legion is a game that is relatively easy to like pick up the basic mechanics of, but also fairly difficult to master. And I think if you have like someone else to kind of get excited about the game and play games with and learn with at the same time, I think that's huge. Secondly, I would advise just using all of the resources out there that are available now. There are tons of content creators and community resources out there. I'd advise getting on the Legion Discord. That's easily at least of all the various communities that I'm in, the most productive and helpful and least toxic
one. There's also the Facebook, and I can't necessarily recommend the FFG community forums for constructive things, but you can check those out too if you're curious. But yeah, I would say just get involved. Like find a person locally to play with, a person or persons, and then also just get involved in various online communities, because that's what I've beyond just like the raw mechanics and enjoyment of the game itself. I think the thing that really keeps me involved in Legion, and the thing that I enjoy the most, is interacting with all the great people that play Legion. And I do that mostly online because I have two young kids, so I can't get out to my local store very often to play. When I do, obviously we have a great fledgling community here in Northern Virginia, but like you guys are some of my best Legion friends, and you live in New York. And David, my co-host, lives all the way over in San Francisco. So I would say, just get involved, get plugged in to a community, both locally and on the interwebs.
All right, so Kevin, over to you. What's some other advice that you would give a new player?
I think I have 2.5 things as I've been sitting here thinking about it. The half is, hi, my name is Kevin. I run a blog called imperialdiscipline.blog. It's built for you. Please go visit it. But seriously, I think Invader League Season 4 is coming up. Even if you don't know what you're doing, join it. If you go 0-5, and I say this from experience, even if you go 0-5, you will learn so much from the process of going 0-5 that you'll be a much better player on the other side. Especially for beginners. I can't recommend just sort of the trial by fire approach enough. You're going to meet some real nice people and get a taste for what Legion is real quick. And it's a great, very low cost way to do it, especially if you're not 100% sure you want to buy in yet. I'll also say, just as part of the hobby, you're going to be buying multiples of pretty much every unit that you get, and definitely challenge you to try something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable with the second unit or the third unit of whatever you get, whether that is a new base or that is a new paint scheme. Some of my favorite things that I've done have either been accidental or something that I was scared to do. And God knows I failed a bunch. I tried to make an urban camo scout trooper unit, and it was just such an abomination that they're still like half scrubbed away with simple green lying in a box somewhere. But I did learn a lot about applying paint and working with weird patterns just through doing that, and was able to do some fun stuff down the line with it, to push yourself a little bit. But yeah, ask questions. We're here for you. It's a great community.
Yeah, and listen, I would second that. I think Kevin's blog is great, and actually, Kevin's doing little pieces for us on our podcast as well, just to kind of connect with you. And guys, it's been a great year for us, and I think I owe a lot of it to both of you guys for giving us a shot and coming on the podcast early on when we literally just started. And just kind of, I feel like I'm friends with both of you now, and it's just been great. It's just been a great experience to know you guys and to be part of this community and to contribute in our own little way. So thanks for coming on again, and man, I appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you guys next year at our 2-year anniversary.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, and thanks to you, Kyle. I got you your badge back at Northeast Open, so we're square.
Yeah, I left my I went to LVO Las Vegas Open last year, and Kevin lent me your Poe jacket with the Rebel logo on the side. I basically worked it into like a Rebel officer costume because Brendan France, who was the marshal for that event, was going to dress up in a Imperial officer costume, and I was helping judge, so I figured that there should be some Rebel Alliance representation there, and I left my badge in that coat when I mailed it back to you, so I appreciate having it returned to me.
And congratulations on Nova.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was really fun. I said this on the Scoundrels cast, but I'm not a Palpatine player, and I had very little expectations going in, but turns out he's pretty good. So
turns out, yes. But all right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
Yep, thanks, Jay.
So that was myself, Kevin, and Kyle reminiscing. Love those guys.
They're awesome.
Those guys. Yeah, they're the best. And just another couple community members that are doing everything they can to make the community better.
Yeah, it was actually cool getting to see Kyle and Dash again at Nova. Like,
Oh,
I don't. So even though we're all on the same like team here, like I don't actually get face to face with anybody,
Right.
all that, because it's mostly Jay and I. Poor Endless is all the way out in California,
Yeah.
right? And so he doesn't like face to faces with him are real rare. And then Dash and Kyle are in the Nova area, but like even so, like that's still like a 6-hour drive for either of us either way. So it was cool just to see like hang out in person. Unfortunately, the way everything went, I didn't get to like. Nova's all about like partying a little bit after, but I didn't get to do that. But man, I'm just becoming an old man. I was like, man, I'm tired. I just want to
Well,
go
if
to
it
bed.
makes you feel like, I know Kyle and Mike both had things going on too that they couldn't stay, so it was
Yeah.
But yeah, so anywho, all right. Let's see. So let's you know what? Let's cover these two boys. So during that stream today, to go back a little bit, Luke and Alex played with the new operatives, and then they just had standard commander general commanders there.
Yep.
Commander officers. And so we did get to see the 1 pip for both of the operatives. Now these are going to work for the commander Luke and Vader as well.
Yes, sir.
I just hiccuped right there.
You sure did. You took it like a champ.
Yeah. So anyways, Luke's 1 pip, it's called You Serve Your Master Well.
It's cool.
You serve your master
It's a
well.
cool. It's like a super giant mind trick, right?
Yeah. And basically, so Luke Skywalker gains the following. It looks like it's a free action. You choose a friendly, non-commander, non-operative trooper unit at range 1. Okay? Or a suppressed enemy non-commander, non-operative trooper unit at range 1. Perform 1 free move or attack action with that unit. If it is an enemy unit, it can attack and start a melee with other enemy units.
Yep.
So you can make
And
an
then
enemy
attack.
unit fight another enemy unit.
So what's interesting with that is like maybe people start taking Jedi Mind Trick because that's free. It's a recover, but you Jedi Mind Trick, then you serve your master well. So you're like doubling, right? Like you suppress them, then because they confirm that it does work like standby, not standby, but steady. Things like that work off it, so it's charge.
Right.
So you can move a thing of Imperial Guards into another enemy unit and get a charge off on them, which is devastating, right?
Yeah.
It's a really cool card.
Yeah, and I like that they're bringing that kind of stuff in for Luke because I felt like, and the operative Luke is the Return of the Jedi Luke, so like I think it's a really good time for that to happen and for him to come in with like force powers now, right?
Yeah.
Vader's 1 pip, free action, and Vader gains choose another non-heavy unit at range 1 and place that unit on the battlefield within range 1 and height 1 of its current position. Then, if it is an enemy unit, roll 1 white defense die for each mini in the unit. That unit suffers 1 wound for each shield and surge result. Block and surge.
So that's actually a super awesome, cool thematic. It's called Vader's Might.
Yeah,
So,
that's a super force push.
Yeah, it's a super force push, but it's like how strong Vader is. But like that's a good way to get around red defense die, especially that surges. So like Death Troopers,
Yeah.
because it's 5 ups to hit damage, right? If you're rolling a D6 die, it's 5 and 6 will actually deal damage to them. That's how kind of the odds are. So when you move a bunch of Death Troopers, let's say you push them off a cliff, right? You can actually maybe get some damage through because sometimes when things surge, you just hit and hit and hit and hit. You can't get anything through.
Yeah, so this would be
so it's
like,
cool.
okay, I'm gonna force pull them. They're gonna roll. I'm gonna try to get rid of a couple of them. Then
Yeah.
I'm gonna move and relentless into them and clean them up.
It's cool. It's good ability.
And then if you have force push on you, you could then force pull something into you. So then you're still in melee with something. Oh my god,
Yeah, it's pretty mean.
dude, Commander Vader with this card is gonna be dope with saber throw at 5 points.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think it's interesting because both of these don't necessarily replace the other 1 pips, right? So like Implacable has a place as well as Vader's Might has a place. Same thing with You Serve Your Master Well. Like Son of Skywalker is one of the best cards in the game, like period, right? So you can either go, you could double down and just take all 6 Luke cards and put all your eggs in one basket and really regret that when he gets mangled.
Luke, you would regret it.
Yeah.
I don't think you would regret it with Vader. I think
Fair.
Vader you can keep alive.
But either way, like you have, if you want to have like take another, like say you take another commander and you want their 1 pip, you actually have a choice again, right? Like choices make games interesting.
Yeah.
Auto includes do not. So you're like, do I take, the new 1 pip or the old 1 pip for Luke because they're both really good. I could send a thing of Imperial Guards, charging into their buddies to make a hit, or I could swing twice with my lightsaber. That's 7 dice apiece, right? It's cool because they're good choices either way. It's not like a write-off. Like right now, like the extra cards you got out of the Operatives pack, like who plays the 1 pip for Imperial, right?
Right.
Or the 1 pip.
Not the. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, the specialists.
Yeah, the secondary generic ones for the Rebels and Imperials.
Like the 3 pips for the real like crowd pleasers.
Yeah.
One of the 2 pips on each has its place, but the 1 pip's like, I don't know. There's just better stuff. So
yeah, it's interesting. It dawned on me the other day that those are. I didn't think about it for some reason. I was like, oh man, I can't wait to use this with clones. And then I was like, oh wait, I can't use this with clones.
It's too bad because I really wanted the Imperial 1 pip to be good, where you get to look at a couple. It's random cards in our hand. Honestly, just make it all the cards in our hand. If you're playing that, like you're sacrificing something.
Yeah,
because honestly, if you just take Luke, they have all of Luke's cards and all the generics, right? It's not going to be too much of a surprise.
Yeah,
there.
at some point though, it's going to become interesting, right?
Like
when you were playing A-Team, God knows what you had in that hand. So at that point,
that
it's
was
like,
cool.
Ooh, 1 pip. Let me see what's in the hand.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Then that helps. But I mean, even with A-Team, you could generally guess what was in your hand. You know, you could be like, okay, I know he's definitely got Han's 0 pip. He's definitely, you know what I mean?
So it's cool though. I think I'm liking where the game's going. It's not necessarily a hard. They're like, oh, they're just buffs to the new characters. Well, they're not though. Like they're Luke and Operative Luke both have their place.
Yeah.
Right. And Operative Vader and New Vader have their place now that the cards are there. If anything, it gave a buff to Old Vader so he could actually get to the fight with the Darkness Descends. But each of these has it's a choice that's not. There's one not blatantly better than the other. And that's important with everything in this game. Like, the perfect game has every choice being a choice. That'll never happen in any game. Just way too much going on. But it's cool that it's starting to lean more to that way.
And I think what they're doing, too, is they're sidestepping the landmine that 40K and Fantasy would fall into, where you would get these uber strong armies that you're like, okay, you knew if you were coming up against an army like that, you were like, yeah, I can't take this.
No, that's fair.
And now I think any army you come up against, any list you come up against, you're like, I got a real good shot here.
Well, right, you don't know. Like, if you bring Luke now, I'm like, oh, he's got Son of Skywalker. I just know you have it, and I just gotta... Same thing with Palpatine. Like, I know you've got Palp Bomb. How do I play around the Palp Bomb? How do I get baited out of you? How do I do this?
Right.
But if every commander gets 2 sets of cards down the road...
Right.
Where I'm like, I don't know. Right? Because the command hand should be secret and surprising, right? Because right now it's kind of like,
say right now in the meta, like, and I've done this with you when I was playing Flyboys. It's like, oh, I know what's coming.
Yep.
Change of plans.
Yep.
And then you know what I mean, and that's what I was doing with oh gosh, who was I playing? Oh, I think it was on my TTS game for Yavin base. I knew exactly he was playing a Krennic Basilisk.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I know what's coming. I know what's
Reptilian
coming.
Rampage.
And he's like, dude, it's like you can read my mind. And I'm like, nah, man, you just play enough, you know.
Yeah, you just know,
like,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I knew this was coming. I knew this is the turn for this. This is the turn for this. Like,
yep.
You know, you're right. I think if they came out with 2 cards for each unit or each commander,
I mean, that's big dream thinking, right? But like right now, this isn't like, I was afraid that this was going to be an X-Wing 1.0 upgrade where it's like, it's just better. Don't use the old ones. Use these because the old ones are underpowered. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But instead, it's like interesting choices, and the best games are full of interesting choices.
Yeah, well, and I think they fixed. So one, I would love to see Comms Jammer. I'd love to see that come down about 10 points.
Yeah. 10's
5.
meaty, but I'd say it'd be good. So, right, there's still a ton of other things that haven't been released for points they haven't talked about yet. The full points will be released on October 6th. October. This Friday, they'll have the full breakdown of everything released. They didn't show everything.
You said the magic word.
Me going full gonzo, arms waving and everything. But they just spoiled some of the points. They said there's a lot more. So you and I have speculated for a while. Most of the time, most of the ones I saw in my mind I thought about, but they went a little bit more aggressive than I would have.
Well, and this is what we talked about 3-4 weeks ago about. We did that thought experiment, and we were like, "Hey, if this was this, would you take it now?"
Yeah,
and that's what they did with the HH-12
Yeah.
and the ion gun for the rebels, right? And so that's the thought experiment now. So
At least someone will try it, right? That's all I can ask for in a game is when you look at a card, you don't automatically throw it out, even though it may not be good. You're like, well, is there a case where this ion gun comes in good? Well, if I run to because like we're talking about at Nova, this is last big grand tournament, I think, grand national, whatever it is, grand something, that only 2 factions will be represented.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, the last
the
national
warfare
kind of thing.
weekend in November will be the first big tournament
4.
where all 4 will be viable.
I mean,
so here's my question. I was looking, and I don't know. We don't know release dates or anything, right? We just kind of guess as we go.
Yeah.
I was looking on Amazon, and they had the B1 droids and the droidicas for release in January 2020.
Oh, yikes.
And I'm like, that can't be real. Like,
No, yeah.
I think they got to release either right with the core set or right after the core
They
set.
have to.
Because there's the binoculars are in there. There's some other link
No,
targeting
they
array.
got it.
Like,
They
there's,
got it. The
yeah,
only way you can buy... It would be real crappy if the only way you could buy an illicit droidicas was buy another starter box.
Well, write that too, but then there's a bunch of cards you can't even get.
Yeah, that kind of acts you out of that. So, I think Amazon...
Evan.
Wow. I think Amazon just puts like static dates because I'm more than positive it's like end of September for the droid box,
and
right?
I just thought it was odd, but yeah. So
No, that's a little
hopefully those
scary
come
if
out,
that's
'cause
the truth,
you need those to come out so that you can run a competitive army. That'll be interesting. All right, so we got another special segment for you guys that I'd like to go to now. It's a little quiz show that we've put together, and you're gonna know our contestants very well. It's called Bantha or Bust. Enjoy.
Bantha.
Welcome back to the best quiz show this side of the mid-rim. I'm your host, Jay Shalansky, and here we are on Bantha or Bust. Now let me introduce you to our contestants. First off, we have Alex Davey.
Great to be here, Jay.
So Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself. How about who's your favorite character in Star Wars?
I'm going to have to go with Trioculus, the three-eyed and sinister spawn of Emperor Palpatine. Or maybe not. Read some of that EU stuff to get the full scoop on my boy.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. And our other contestant, Luke Eddy. How are you, Luke?
Hello. I'm great. How are you, Jay?
Fantastic. So, Luke, tell us, if you could live on one planet from the Star Wars universe, which would it be?
That's a good question. I've heard Alderaan's pretty nice, minus the occasional laser blasts. But,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's pretty temperate.
Yeah,
Well, the
beautiful
crowd
city.
sure loves that one, boys.
Too soon, Luke.
Yeah, too soon. Scarif's another good one, but that also suffers from
Jeez,
those laser
Luke.
blasts.
Taking us to a dark place right off the bat.
Hey,
Yeah,
sorry.
you're really bringing this quiz show down. So I'm going to move on. So today, you boys will be playing for a one and only the custom Bantha or Bust winner's certificate and bragging rights.
Is that worth a free personal pan pizza at
It
Pizza
is.
Hut and participating locations?
And you can pick it up
Phenomenal.
any day. Yeah. You just take that right in. And
Oh, wonderful. I'll be sure to do that when I crush Luke.
Oh, man.
Pepperoni, here I come.
All right, so let me explain how this is going to work for the audience. There will be 3 rounds. In round 1, it will be a question and answer portion, with each right answer being worth 2 points. Round 2 will be multiple choice, with each answer being worth 3 points. And round 3 will be the lightning round.
Ooh.
The Force Lightning round? Come on.
Oh, there you go.
Look at you.
Yeah, we know what we're about.
Yeah. So, are you boys ready?
Absolutely.
Ready.
All right, so here we go for round 1. We're gonna start with Alex. You're gonna have 30 seconds to answer the question, and then we will see if you get it correct. Are you ready, Alex?
Lay it on me.
All right, here we go. Alex, to whom was Princess Leia referring when she said laser brain?
Han Solo.
All right, let's check with the judges. Judges? Yes, you got that one correct, Alex. Very good.
Nice job.
All right. Now, Luke, moving on to you. Are you ready?
I am ready.
When speaking before the Senate, what action did Queen Amidala move for a vote on?
That would be a vote of no confidence.
All right, let's check with the judges. Judges? All right.
Confidently answered. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I
You guys
know my
are doing
space
great.
politics.
You guys are doing wonderful. All right, Alex, you're up. Are you ready?
You may fire when ready.
Alex, who said you truly belong with us here among the clouds?
Oh, that's my man Billy D. Williams, a.k.a. Lando Calrissian.
Oh.
Putting on
All
the
right.
smooth moves.
Judges, that is correct. Very good. All right, we're moving on to Luke. Luke, are you ready?
You can't see me, but I'm brushing my shoulders right now, adjusting my cape.
I'm so happy you wore a cape. All right, now on to Luke. Luke, are you ready?
My body is ready.
Perfect. Here we go. What was Obi-Wan Kenobi's final promise to Qui-Gon Jinn?
Was it to not do drugs? No. Death sticks? All right, it was to train Anakin Skywalker.
All right, judges. That is correct.
Oh,
All
close
right.
one there.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, we are tied up here going into the next question for Alex. Alex, how you feeling? You ready?
So good.
Okay, here we go, buddy. What did Yoda say to Luke about size?
Size matters not.
Judges, that is correct.
Direct quote.
Okay, don't get too comfortable, boys. They're about to get a little bit harder.
Don't
I
get
feel like they were
cocky.
warming us up with
Yeah,
some softballs.
it's true.
It's all right.
Well, yeah, you know, you're my guest. I didn't want to chase you off right away.
Right.
Okay, so Luke,
Yes.
are you ready?
Absolutely.
What bounty hunter flew the houndstooth?
Oh, the Houndstooth. That's my boy, Bosk.
Judges,
A true Trandoshan terror.
okay. Alex, are you ready?
I guess. I don't even know anymore.
Who was rogue leader in the Battle of Hoth?
It's an excellent question. I believe at that juncture Luke had taken over full command of Rogue Squadron. So I'm going to say Luke Skywalker.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Judges,
Yay.
okay. Now, Luke, this is the final question in round 1.
Oh, boy.
Are you prepared?
I have prepared myself.
Okay, here we go. Who called Han Solo Bantha fodder?
Who referred to Han Solo as Bantha fodder? I believe that is Jabba the Hutt.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Judges,
Yay.
All right.
For a second, I had to double check in my mind that it wasn't Leia because she levels some nice insults there. But
She does call him a lot of names.
It's true.
I think she has the most like in-universe dialect of like in words of anyone.
Probably.
She brings in a rich lexicon of colloquial put downs. She's great.
She's amazing. All right, so that's the end of round 1, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen at home, it's all tied up.
Ooh.
You guys are on point. But now, round 2. Once again, in round 2, it will be multiple choice, and each answer will now be worth 3 points.
Oh my goodness.
Are you, the contestants, prepared?
Yes.
All right. Once again, we're going to start with Alex because his name starts with an A.
That's just true.
Yeah, just pure facts.
Yeah, I can't argue with that one.
Yeah, that's the best way I could figure out how to do this. All right, here we go for your first question. Here we go. Who was gold leader in the Battle of Endor? Was it A, Lando, B, Luke, C, Han, or D, Wedge?
Well, Han wasn't there, and neither was Luke, so that's easy. I'm pretty sure Wedge hung out in Red Squadron still, so I'm gonna say Lando. Lando Calrissian. You never always bet on Lando. He's got a card up his sleeve.
All right, judges. That is correct.
Nice job.
And the cheers.
I love this. Just
Here come them
I want
cheers.
canned cheers for like every minor triumph in my life. It's such a good feeling.
Wait till you guys get something wrong. Oh boy.
It's just the inception noise. Menacing.
All right.
As if we're
Moving
gonna
on.
get questions wrong.
No, right, yeah.
Oh, you wait.
It's ramping up.
All right, moving on to Luke.
I just like to make sure that overconfidence is my undoing.
Well, yeah, sure, of course. It will
It's
be.
a slow and insidious killing.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
All right, here we go, Luke.
I'm ready.
How does General Grievous stay seated in his wheel bike during fast or bumpy travel? Is it A, a containment field, B, a magnetic panel, C, custom cut grooves, or D, a holding strap?
Well, Grievous doesn't seem like the type to wear a seatbelt. I don't remember any sort of force first. He's real good at grabbing stuff, so I'm gonna go with C, I think, the custom grooves.
Judges.
Oh no. Was it the magnet?
It was magnetic panels.
That was my second choice. All right, there you go. There's your.
All right.
Oh man.
Oh,
there it
wow.
is.
I'm sorry that you have to experience this.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
not
no
getting
idea
those
what it's
claps. No claps feels bad, man.
Oh, that was great. Okay. All right, moving on. Here we go. Alex, prepare yourself.
Set it up, I'll knock it down.
Alex, how many arms do dragon snakes have? Is it A, 4, B, 6, C, 2, or D, 3?
Dragon snakes. Why is none not on this list? Alright, so if we're just using math, right? A snake has no limbs, and a dragon has 4 limbs.
Well,
so obviously,
I'm not gonna help you.
Obviously, 4 divided by 2 is 2.
We're going to need an answer. 2 is your final answer. Judges.
Why not? Yeah! Math never fails. I can't believe I got that right.
Where did the 2
I
come
can't
in
believe
there?
I got that right. Well, you take half. I mean, you got no legs plus 4 legs. Stick them together, you get 2.
Okay.
It's just
right.
logic. It's just ironclad logic.
This is the most amazing quiz show. All right, we're going to move on here quickly. Here we go. All right, Luke,
Yes.
you got to get back in this game.
I do.
All right, no pressure, but lots of pressure, though, because you're
No
losing.
pressure. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Here's your next question. What was wrong with R5D4? Was it A, a bad servo motor, B, a bad motivator, C, a bad communicator, or D, bad power coupling?
That's going to be B, the bad motivator. And
All
I
right.
believe... Oh, go ahead and give me the true or false here. Yes, did I get it?
Is that your final answer?
Oh, yeah, that's B, my final answer. Bad
All right,
motivator.
let's go to the judges. Judges! That is correct.
Yes. I'll lay a little extra trivia on you. I believe it's canon that he did that intentionally to allow R2-D2 and C-3PO to stay together.
What a guy.
And you see R5-D4 later as a part of the Rebel Alliance.
What a guy.
What a guy, that R5-D4, unsung
Little
hero.
known
of the
unsung
rebellion.
hero of the rebellion. Yeah.
Mhm.
Coming, taking your trivia, amplifying it,
Mm.
hitting it back at you. That's what we do here.
Getting those amps in there.
That's right.
Yeah, getting the first one wrong. Very weird. Not using the trivia where it counts, but okay, you do,
Well, listen,
you do you.
To be fair, we haven't made Grievous's wheel bike in Legion yet. So I haven't done my research.
We
on
won't be
that.
doing grooves, though.
No, because we'll know now. It's a freaking magnet plate.
Well, don't you know Legion's better with magnets anyway?
It is.
so,
That's true.
Yeah, these games are better with magnets.
Well, there you go. You'll magnetize your Grievous figure to stay inside.
We just discussed
in Legion
how to,
and in real life.
how to utilize magnets to make his hands fully rotational.
Oh, was that a conversation earlier?
You on the Twitch stream
Oh,
with
nice.
John.
Cool.
You need some rare earth magnets, a ball and a cylinder,
I'm in.
and a pin vise,
Magnets.
Look at that.
I don't know how they work.
and some
but-
super glue. Miracles is what I've heard.
Oh, nice. All right.
We're learning all kinds of things today. All right, enough delaying here. Alex, it's your turn. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, here we go. How much did Obi-Wan promise to pay Han for passage to Alderaan? Was it A, 11,000, B, 14,000, C, 7,000, or D, 17,000?
You know, he was a hermit, but he scrimped, he saved. He reused his tea bags. And he managed to pull together 7,000 credits.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Judges!
Ah!
I was trying to remember this one. It's tough. Is it?
I thought it was
is
5.
I think it's
But maybe
higher.
it's 11.
He splits it though. It's like 11. What is it? Is it 14 total and
It's 10
7
billion
now
credits.
and 7 when he gets to Obi?
Oh, that's right. There's some
There's some
haggling
math in
involved.
here.
Right.
The correct answer is
11?
17,000.
17.
Takes a lot of credits to get off Tatooine when the
Well,
Empire's
no,
on your
no
back.
Imperial entanglement.
Exactly.
Well, he is a
Okay.
scoundrel.
Well, you got a chance now, Luke.
It's true. It's true. Yes, I have a
Well,
chance.
we'll see.
Thanks
Jay's on my I think Jay's on my fight.
There's a
You know
vote
who's a
of
bad
no
motivator?
confidence from
Jay
Jay.
Schlansky is a bad motivator.
I'm not here to motivate. I'm here to keep it interesting.
Vote of no confidence.
That's right. That's right.
All right, here we go, Luke. You
All
got
right.
this, buddy. How's that? Was that
Okay,
a good
thanks.
one?
That's better. That's better.
I totally meant it. All right, here we go.
Sincerity just oozing from every pore.
All right, here we go. Who did Vader think was missing from the Counselor ship? Was it the Counselor? Was it B, the Viceroy? Was it C, the Senator? Or D, the Ambassador?
Despite being a counselor's ship, I'm trying to remember the line. I think it's Ambassador. He says Ambassador. Then where is the Ambassador?
Final answer?
Yep, Ambassador.
All right, judges.
Hey!
Back on the board.
All right, look at
Back
you.
at it.
You're doing this. So we are all
Doing
tied
it.
up right now
Dang.
with, it looks like
okay.
2 questions left in round 2.
All right.
All right, so let's move it right along. Are you ready?
I am so prepared.
All right, here we go. Alex, how wide was the target area the rebel pilots had to fire at when attacking the Death Star? Was it A, 1 meter, B, 2 meters, C, 3 meters, or D, 4 meters?
Can I answer not much bigger than a womp rat?
Judges?
Can I answer? All right. I'm going to go with 3 meters.
Is that your final answer?
Give me the options again.
You're running out of time. A, 1 meter. B, 2 meters. 3, C meters. Or C, 3 meters. Or D, 4
Three centimeters. Final answer. Centimeters.
It's not C
3
meters.
SEA.
Is it 1
I'm gonna go
meter,
with-
2, 3, or 4?
1 meter. Final answer.
All right.
No, I'm screwing with you. It's 3 meters.
3 meters. Judges.
No.
You danced around it. It's
Oh, it's 3 feet. It's 1 meter.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, no. It's 2 meters.
It's 2
I'm
meters.
just wrong. Whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Womp rat's not-
I don't know how big womp rats are.
Yeah, how big is this fictional rat thing, Alex?
2 meters. Come on.
Apparently.
You got a chance to pull ahead, Luke.
Everybody knows this. All right.
Just savage.
Everybody knows. Savage. Savage. That'd be like if Alex Trebek just laughed at you when you got something wrong. Or just like scoffed. Like,
Yeah. This is our own take on this show. We insult the contestants afterwards.
It's okay. I'm going to bring it back home in the lightning round. Don't worry.
All right. Luke,
Wait,
this
I'm
is
ready.
your chance
Oh boy,
to take the lead.
time to shine.
All right. Luke, who said the following? Sir, Luke is the best bush pilot in the Outer Rim territories. Was it A, Han, B, Tank, C, Biggs, or D, Wedge?
Oh, I don't even remember when this was said. I'm pretty sure Wedge never said this. Biggs might have? Ooh. I'm gonna go with Biggs.
Is that your final answer?
Biggs is my final answer.
Dang it.
Judges.
Hey!
All right.
I got it.
Yep, pulled ahead. Don't give me questions about numbers, Jay. Never tell me.
But you're so good at that math at the Dragon Ball.
That's true. I got 3 numbers questions. How many legs? How many credits? How
You
big
know,
is the thing? That's not my forte.
In retrospect, this makes perfect sense.
Oh, man.
All right. So we're on to...
How big should the base be? Don't ask me these questions.
Are you ready? We're at the lightning round
Lightning
now.
round. Here's where I take it home.
Alex, since you're behind by 3 points, you get to go first.
All right.
Are you
Alex go
prepared?
first.
We're good.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, you would have gone first if you hadn't done as well. So Here we go. So you have 30 seconds to answer the following questions. If you don't feel comfortable with a question, you can say pass, and we'll move on to the next one.
Very good.
Are you ready?
I have assumed the position.
Okay, here we go. Where did Luke tell Biggs he had witnessed a space battle?
Pass.
Above which planet does Cloud City hover?
Bespin.
Where did the exhaust port on the Death Star lead to?
The reactor.
Who told Luke to go to the Dagobah system?
Obi-Wan's ghost.
What are the panels on the side of a TIE fighter?
Solar panels.
What is standard Imperial procedure before jumping to light speed?
Make sure your coffee's not, on a table. Pass.
All right.
See, I'm gonna joke and just waste it. That's classic me.
Turns
right
out,
there.
that's right.
You were right.
I thought I could get through that joke quicker is what happened there. But in any case,
So
you're set up for
I think
victory.
pretty good.
Not too bad. Not too
Actually.
bad.
And what we'll do really quick is, since you're going to have 2 different questions, we'll go back and review these for everybody to know at home.
Yes.
So the first one, where did Luke tell Biggs he had witnessed a space battle? That was at Tashi Station.
Oh, everything's at Tashi Station. What a place.
You got which
That's
planet?
swimming machines, too.
Which planet does Cloud City hover? That's Bespin. You got that one. Where did the exhaust port on the Death Star lead to? The reactor. Who told Luke to go to the Dagobah system? It was Obi-Wan. What are the panels on the side of a TIE fighter? Solar panels. And the one that you decided to joke on. What is standard Imperial procedure before jumping to light speed? Dumping garbage.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah. I was trying to remember
Secure
which
coffee
scene they
cups.
would have talked about
Yeah.
this, but that's it. Yep, Empire.
So you walked away from the lightning round with a total of 4 points. Now that puts you ahead by 1 point.
I don't think I can hang on to that lead.
All right.
As long as I get 2. Mm-hmm.
Now, which you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know. don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Make some jokes, though. Maybe
Don't count your Minox before they
spawn.
It's true.
Or change their name. So, so Luke, are you prepared for the lightning round?
Absolutely.
All right. Here we go. Who was the first to track Han to Cloud City?
Boba Fett.
Who was Red Leader in the Battle of Endor?
Wedge.
How many nostrils does a Tauntaun have?
4.
How many pilots does an AT-AT require?
2.
What did Luke tell Han he was going to investigate on Hoth?
A meteor strike?
Who said he could take on the whole Empire himself?
That was Dak.
How
Poor
old
Dak.
was Anakin in The Phantom Menace?
9?
Luke.
It was just a child. Child old. Wow, you crushed it.
Yeah.
I have to be honest here with you guys. Luke just crushed it. 7
Yeah,
right
I know,
answers.
I just said that.
Did we're all right? All right.
done.
I was not
Well
confident on every single
done.
one, but all right.
My lightning
I'll
round
take
was
it.
funnier, though.
That's true.
Well,
Nobody laughed at mine either.
No.
there's no laughing.
Congratulations. Your hot streak continues.
All
Luke.
right.
Only when it's recorded.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Luke.
Well, I get another crack on you.
Oh man! Oh, it's the music.
Here it is.
Luke, you won a custom Bantha or Bust winner's certificate and bragging rights over your fellow designer. Congratulations, and thanks for playing Bantha or Bust.
That was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
So that was so much fun to do that. I loved that so much. Luke and Alex were amazing.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was just fun to hear. It makes them people, right? They're not just game developers; they're guys who love Star Wars too,
Right.
and that's important to remember. Like these are humans,
Yeah,
right? Like
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not see Luke taking that halfway through when Alex was doing his math with the lizard, going, "Okay, well, let's see. Snakes have no arms. Lizards have 4 arms, so it's got to have 2." And he got that right, like, oh my god, he's gonna take this home.
4D chess.
So, but that was amazing. I really hope that you guys enjoyed that at home. That was a lot of fun for us to put together, and just for you guys, this is our 1-year anniversary, and so I thought it'd be something fun to do for you guys. So, Evan,
Yes.
are you ready?
Yes.
1-year anniversary episode. What do you want to talk about, buddy? Go ahead. You pick a topic.
Oh, just for me?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. How about surprise releases? Like, let's say, what would be something that if at Gen Con or wherever con they do a big release again, what would be something that they would release that you wouldn't see coming? That would just shock you. Be like, wow, what, really? Because they always talk about, like, when you're ever like watching live stream today, they're like, oh, you should see our sculpt room. It's so cool. I'm like, yeah, cool. Well, I can make up stuff too. Right? Like, another set of stormtroopers doesn't blow me away, but a Rancor would. Right? Like, what would blow you away?
I don't think they would have this. Maybe they would. It would blow me away if they started. So you know how they do the downed AT-ST?
Yeah.
They got the pill box.
Yeah,
or whatever,
scenarios,
and,
yeah.
So what if I would invest heavy in if they did, you mentioned the Rancor, where they did creature encounter scenarios.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And you could get
just anything,
any,
right?
like,
any of them.
Any from any of the movies. Like now you like on Genosha where all the
Genosha Arena.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Dude.
2 Deadeye Jedi rebels.
Right, and you put in your army, and you maybe your opponent or both of you put in like 300 point or 400 point armies and team up to then fight like creatures in an arena or something.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Right?
That'd be really cool.
That would surprise the hell out of me.
I think what would be useful is a casual cooperative mode. I know it's hard. Like, it's hard, it's tough. Fans of X-Wing made it's It's called Hot AC or Heroes of the Atari Cluster. It's like a campaign you play through where all the TIE fighters and all the enemy ships have like little AI built in where you're like, if enemies in range move forward, if they shoot. So you and like 3 buddies could play each a rebel ship and you get to level up as a hero and you fight these ships that the computer's like, you're moving around and doing what the chart says, but they're kind of AI controlled a little bit. I think that'd be a lot of fun because there's times when you get like 3 people and it's like Star Wars night and you've got Legion.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool just to like throw a monster on the field and be like, all right, first to kill it. All right, then so do you like shoot it to weaken it or do you try to wait for a shot? Or like that'd be fun or something like that, right? Like a 3-player multiplayer mode, I think would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you could do it a couple different ways. You could do them co-op, and then, like you said, have AI run the creature, or you could have one of the people run
just
the
run the
creatures.
creature and just go for it.
Right.
You know, the people do like doubles and things like that, but you don't always have perfect numbers. And I only bring enough to play a list. I don't bring my whole collection. So even if it was one guy runs like, 800 points and 2 other people run 400, I couldn't do that. Right? Like it's
Yeah.
So I think that'd be really cool. That'd be neat.
Yeah. So what would be your thing that would just blow you away that you'd be like, I did not see this coming?
A starter for the Old Republic. Like just coming
Is that
out saying
canon still?
Old Republic? I believe so. I believe the Old Republic MMO is considered canon. Plus they said they're doing a movie possibly on it. Like there's a rumor going about that. I think if they said here's Sith versus Jedi, like just they can even make up characters, right? You don't have to go off anything. You're just like, here's a cool guy, or Darth, even if you want to use him like Darth Revan, right? Here's him versus like another hero and interesting troops, like just or super off canon. Because right now everyone's like, well, when's the First Order and Republic, whatever coming out, the Resistance coming out, and that's like you're gonna see it, and I'm gonna be like, cool, but I'm also gonna be like, all right, it's like what we're talking about, like Gen Con. We're like, yeah, we knew tanks were probably coming. Yeah, we knew droidekas were probably coming. They're cool, but they weren't like, I wasn't shocked. Right? Like Dooku and Rex, I'm like cool, but I'm not like surprised. Right? I was like, yeah, I could have like.
Yeah, the only thing that
I would have rouletted that, right?
The only thing that surprised me, it wasn't that R2D2 and C3PO came out. It was that they were dual faction.
Yeah,
that was surprising.
That was the first time. I'm like, oh, that's cool, right? But like if they had just come out and said, hey, 2 new factions out of left field, we've been working on this, or Scum 3rd faction, like, hey, you know what? I'd love
to see a Scum faction.
Just the Hutts or the Black Sun Cartel, or because you can just use a lot of the same rules and just like here's a card pack that lets Boba, Bosk be in the Scum.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you have too is Force Awakens really focused on this more, where you had the cartels coming after Han and Chewie in the beginning there, and like they had
those cool guys with the red dot in the face.
They had like soldiers.
Yeah.
And so like you have the clans and stuff. Well, like you could do that, right? You could build armies out of those like unknown.
That'd be cool, like right? Because you're just under the Hutts in general, like. I think that'd be interesting.
Crimson Dawn.
Because
then if they come out, I mean, they're gonna come out with a Darth Maul, right, for the prequels.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you have him like trade over, and he can be a commander for Crimson Dawn.
I think like, I guess to take it back, what I was gonna say, I think a 3rd faction that's just, or a 5th now, that's just out of left field. Like, this is the Sith from the Old Republic. They don't have a other side. This is just you get to play the Sith. Here you go. Like that would blow me away, just because it's. So I know there's so much things that has to go through approval, and it's not the guys who, like, I'm sure, Luke and Eddie and all of the team there would love to do a ton of stuff, right? They've got
Luke and Eddie.
Whoops, Luke and Alex, Loop and Eddie. That's
Loop and Eddie.
Would love to do a ton of stuff, but there's so like it's a 3rd party owns the rights, right? So you gotta go through approval. Is this, in the way they do it, even with X-Wing, it's like, does this ship's ability match thematically with what that character does, right? So it's kind of a pain to push something through. So I almost would love just like the reins get taken off and just see what kind of crazy stuff. Like, I'd love to see like a striker unit, like TIE Striker. We talked about that, just loping around the battlefield.
I think that's a possibility. I don't see
cool.
why not. It's an inner atmosphere. It's the same as the airspeeder.
Yeah, I mean that'd blow. I'd be like, wow, that's cool, right? Like, have a compulsory move, just like anything else. Yep. Give it some dice, it shoots, it's got light hull because it's a TIE fighter.
It could just be like an airspeeder, just the Empire's version of an airspeeder. I don't see why that couldn't happen.
Yeah, so that's right. That's just, to me, it'd be something like pretty much all the releases from now. I have no idea what's coming out, but in my mind I do. Right? I'm like, all right, they're gonna release
Well,
Tank.
sure, yeah. If you're a fan, right?
Yeah.
You knew certain things were coming.
Yeah, like Dooku and Rex this earlier. I'm like, okay, they're farther in my timeline than I thought, but I wasn't like, oh, I didn't. No way, it wouldn't blow my mind. So I'm hoping we get a release that just like shoots it out of the water for me, right? Yeah, like the when they first released it down to ATSD, I thought that was kind of leading that way. Like, oh, cool, I didn't think they would do that, right? So I'm hoping they play that design space. But that's my thought, I think, anyway. It was just something that a release that an article that comes out that really just like out of left field, right?
Right. Well, everybody, I think it's about time we wrap up. This has been a long episode. It's been a great year. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate that you even listen to a couple dummies like us talk. So, thank you so much. Don't forget about the mats. I will give those away. Comment on this post on our Facebook page. On our Facebook page. It's got to be on our Facebook page. If you comment and like the post, you'll be entered to win.
Excellent.
And I'll pick 2 people. One will get a salt and one will get a mat, and I'm not going to let you choose.
It's just going to be me. It's your boy Evan coming in with all different accounts. Try to get that mat.
Well, Kyle always tries to win with Hercules Rockefeller. That's his.
Don't tell anybody. That's his secret identity.
But yeah, seriously, we appreciate you guys so much. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to bringing you another year's worth of content, and we hope to meet all of you someday in person.
Most definitely, yeah.
So thank you so much for listening today, and as always, have a great week, and we'll catch you next time on The Fifth Trooper.
Please stay red.
Join us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper podcast.
This has been a Fifth Trooper production.